from Celebration, Florida. This is ParksCenter. Welcome to ParksCenter. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. This is ParksCenter for July 10th, 2022, and I am not in control of anything tonight, so if anything goes wrong, email somebody else this time. We have a great show. We're going to be talking about some stuff we've missed over the past couple of weeks, including some small changes to Tomorrowland, and the Tiana attraction has been announced, and a lot more. So this is going to be a really great night. And now I'm also hearing additional audio, so that's great.
I love when people that work in radio don't realize you can't listen to the show while you record it.
You know, let's talk about the panel we've got tonight. First of all, I want to just introduce Mr. Tom Corliss. His cash don't jiggle jiggle, it folds.
Actually, it's just an Expensify card, which Pete Carney will never have.
Gotcha. And of course, Mr. Jason Diffendahl.
Hey, howdy, hey.
Yep.
Glad to be here.
And that my best friend, Desi.
Hello there.
So tonight we're going to do this a little bit differently just because we're in the studio, but it's also the same. And so since Tom hates that, we're very happy.
You wouldn't know watching at home, believe it or not, despite this N64 setup, the N64 multiplayer that's going on, we are in the same room.
No. It's fine.
I'm actually in the vents above the restroom.
So,
who played GoldenEye?
Stop hijacking my show, man. So anyway, we're going to go around the hub. We're going to talk about Disney parks news from all the parks around the world. First thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about Disney World and my favorite topic, which is park reservations. This is something we missed out on for being out for July 4th, but I wanted to bring this up to the panel because if you've watched the show, you know that park reservations drive me bananas, and Tom will probably tell you why it's a good idea to have them or why the Disney company wants them. But the new rumor was that they're going to start doing reservations for park hopping. Meanwhile, up the road, this is weird getting this interaction. Like, this is awesome. Thank you, guys. So up the road at Universal, they haven't done park reservations at all. So Tom, my question to you is, like, why does Disney need to double down, or do you think that this is just a rumor and it's not going to happen?
It's more than a rumor. It's a fail-safe, right? So they think they might need it. They think they might need it, so they're just kind of waiting to see if they want to implement it. It's all set up. It's ready to go. The only rumor is, will it be turned? The rumor is, will it be turned on? The rumor is not, does it exist? There's a plan in place. The question is, do they flip the switch, right? So I don't know. There's part of the rumor that it would let you park hop before 2 o'clock, maybe, which is kind of an improvement on the current situation, right? So maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. But the truth is, like, if people are already planning to park, to visit, they're already making a reservation for the first park they're visiting that day. These planning people probably know where they want to go after anyway.
Not me.
And I don't know. It might be somewhat helpful. I know, like, my big problem, the before 2 thing, is if I can get a dining reservation before 2 o'clock at a park I can't get into,
right.
I then have that dining reservation, I can't go to it. So that happened a lot when I was trying to go to Sci-Fi to shoot some stuff for the show. It was like, well, I keep getting Sci-Fi reservations before 2 o'clock. I can't actually go to them. It would be nice to be able to do that, right?
Well, okay, so then I get that they'd want to track you to the next park, but then the question is, will they cap them the way they cap the daytime?
Well, this is all meant to control, it's meant to control crowds so you can control staffing. This is a money thing, right? It's about how many cast members do we have to staff in a park in a day? What can we get away with? And that's what this controls. It controls staffing, which costs them not much because you pay people minimum wage, but that's important to them. They want to know how much staffing they need in a park, and if they can't get enough staffing, they just want to limit the number of people.
So, Jason, what do you think about all this?
Well, I mean, Tom said, the question is it not that it exists, is it going to be turned on? My question is it going to work? if they turn it on.
Right.
Because I think this is like one more complicated layer on top of something that already doesn't always work well. So is this just going to add to frustration?
Yeah.
You know, if you make a reservation to park hop, the other problem I have is it's a staffing thing. But you make a reservation to park hop, what if you don't? Right? Then you stay in the Magic Kingdom, and then everyone that made a reservation to park hop to the Magic Kingdom goes to the Magic Kingdom. I mean, this is the scenario that Disneyland and Disney California Adventure had, is that people would leave Disneyland to go to California Adventure, but then they would all come back for the fireworks at the end of the night.
Yeah.
And so maybe this is going to solve the problem, but I don't think it is. I don't think it's really going to change. I think that they have enough data to know what they need for staffing now with park reservations that I don't think hopping adds a significant enough difference that it's going to make a difference to their planning.
No, because at 2 o'clock it doesn't matter anymore. Enough people have gone home where it's kind of irrelevant.
Right. That's my thought. Is that it just doesn't matter after 2 o'clock.
But back to like your original point though about managing the parks. Sometimes like the fireworks at the Magic Kingdom get so congested because everybody, but that's what I'm saying. It's worse than it ever has been. So they're not really managing it at all.
You know what the solution is? You know who's got this figured out? Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom. You know,
just get rid of it.
You have no nighttime entertainment.
Just get rid of it, yeah.
It works great. People just go home at 6 o'clock. They go sit in their hotel room and worry about waking up to get a boarding group at 7 a.m. the next day.
Yeah. So before we move on into this, I want to ask Desi, because I think a lot of us are just, obviously we consider ourselves Disney professionals, but when you talk to somebody outside of the community and you try to explain to them about park reservations and then also Genie, but also Genie Plus, but also Lightning Lane and what that is, I mean, do you have any friends that you talk to that not only would park reservations blow their mind, but then park hopping reservations would just make them melt down and cry?
So my husband is a travel agent, and he has to try to explain this to people on a daily basis. And especially with older generations who aren't familiar with technology, first off, the reason that they're even calling him as a travel agent is because they want somebody else to do the legwork for them, because they aren't good at, booking travel and doing stuff on the computer. So the idea of just like being glued to their phones and figuring out an app and doing the reservations is hard enough. I can't imagine trying to add on another layer to it.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next topic. The next one I want to talk about is the AP magnet, because you talked about making things easier. Disney has gone ahead and taken something that you used to go and pick up at festivals and made it just as easy as possible. What you have to do is you have to go on your phone and make a reservation for them to then tell you it's okay for you to go to Disney Springs, park in an inconvenient garage, go to the furthest place away to finally get in another line to be scanned, to go inside to wait in another line to be scanned to get your free magnet. Woo! It's so nice. It is so much easier now.
Which garage is the inconvenient?
The orange is the inconvenient, but we'll talk about that later. But even so, neither garage is convenient to this pickup. So if you were just going to swing by and get it, has anybody here gone and gotten their magnet? Yeah. Was it so easy to do?
No. Terrible.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, it used to be a fun thing. And my problem is I'm addicted to free. I mean, it's like...
You know they used to mail them, right?
Right,
you
exactly.
Didn't have to go anywhere.
And I never got one.
But
I never got one.
I didn't send you a magnet either.
But the new thing about mailing them, though, is if you have a family of 4, they're going to go ahead and mail you 2.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I'm a family of 4 and got 0. My aunt, who's a family of 1, got 2.
Yeah. So, I mean, Jason, have you gone to get yours yet?
I have not. I mean, I did the last time they had them, but I waited until the tail end.
Right.
And then it was much easier because your virtual wait time is only like 20 minutes, and you walk up and there's no line outside or inside. So it's kind of a game. Wait long enough that the hoopla dies down, but you have to still get it before they run out.
Yeah. Tom, did you send somebody to get yours, or? Moving on. APs. So talking about AP, and again, feeling like just taking care of first-class citizen all the way. They opened up AP again, and then shut it down the same day.
They didn't sell any.
They didn't sell any.
None actually
You
sold.
you couldn't buy any because you got an
It said
error
they
when
were
you put in your
available.
cart.
They were not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the question is then at this point is, will they ever come back? And I'm going to hit that to you, Tom. I mean, do you think they will? Go ahead and tell us yes or no. We've got a lot of people watching. Go ahead and tell them what's going to happen.
I don't think they are.
Really?
I think the return of annual passes and Magic Key was a knee-jerk reaction to, I think they had soft numbers coming up. I think they saw like a dip coming. The thing that they didn't anticipate is the world changed in the last 5 or so years. People used to plan vacations a little further out. I'm not even talking about the people that plan like a year or two out. I'm talking about people that used to plan a couple months out. I think in this age, I think people book vacations sometimes a week or two in advance. And Disney doesn't account for that in any way. They just assume like those rooms are gonna be empty. And so they saw like some soft numbers coming up. We're like, we better bring back annual passes. And so they kicked Magic Key in and they kicked annual passes back in here. And then people showed up and someone was like, damn it, we don't need these people. And I think that's why everything quickly got turned off. I think between that and the lawsuit, I think they very quickly realized that they didn't need us. And we know they didn't want us. And once they decided they didn't need us, I think that's where they are right now. And so I think it will be a long time. I think it will be until they feel like numbers have softened enough to where it's same as it's a repeating theme through history with Disney theme parks. When they don't need you, they treat you like garbage, and then they hope you'll return when they do need you. So like post 9/11, like when they rolled out the red carpet for pass holders, I blew someone's mind. We went to Epcot the other day, and someone points up in the land. They're like, "What's that lounge up there?" I was like, "Well, in 2001, we used to go up there and get free sodas, and there'd be 3 of us up there, and we'd drink as much soda as you wanted. It was a pass holder lounge." Could you imagine such a thing? Could you? And it's when the chips are down, they know we're there.
Yeah.
And when they have chips, it's like, I hate you.
Well.
Don't come.
But again, I want to reiterate about that free magnet. So anyway, Jason, let me ask you, the chairman, I forget his name, Bobby something, he said that he would look into bringing back Premier Passes. You think that'll ever happen?
You know, he's an idiot. I don't believe most of what he says. I don't think he's the one that knows whether they're going to bring back Premier Passes or not.
Although Premier Passes are like a, top 1% kind of thing, right?
It is.
What
They're
they want.
super
That's his favorite
expensive.
people, though, isn't
those
it?
are the people they want. So if anything comes back, it's probably the Premier.
It could be. I mean, it could be that the Premier Pass is just a way to make Platinum Pass holders pay a heck of a lot more to get an annual pass to Disney World. And then maybe you go to Disneyland once to use it, or maybe not, but at least you can buy one.
Yeah, that's a good
That's a
point.
possibility.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one, the TBA. I don't know who the names of these attractions, but Tiana's Bayou Adventure was announced, officially the name of this attraction, plus the fact that they showed us what she was going to look like, which is a lot like the concept art that they had. So I don't know that she looks like she's ready for a trip through the Bayou, but maybe.
She's a member of C.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, we all rode Splash Mountain today, which was fun, even though it broke down. Apparently, they think there's going to be something happening to it in 2024 that they don't need to fix stuff, but there was a lot of stuff broken while we were in there. So, Desi, let me ask you. You rode the attraction. Are you ready for Tiana's Bayou Adventure at this point? Because have they?
If Tiana's Bayou Adventure works and I don't get stuck 18 times on the ride, maybe I'll enjoy it. I still don't think I understand it and its placement. I get that they're changing it from a mountain to a bayou, but I don't see how the bayou necessarily fits into Frontierland.
Yeah. Tom, was there anything about those announcements that surprised you? I mean, try to do it with a straight face
I was
and tell me.
surprised that they committed to 20. I love that they, like, someone gave out a year, and Disney came in and was like, you know, we don't make a lot of deadlines. Maybe we should say late, late 24.
Right. I mean,
And then I heard from people at WDI message me, like, that's being real hopeful. That's being real hopeful for that opening because we don't think we're installing animatronics still around then, so we don't know about that.
well, and it was Anika Nani Rose was on a TV show, and she said, "Hey,
I
we
mean,
heard this was happening."
Yeah, she kind of just blurted out a year, and then they had to commit to it. Kind of good for her.
Can we get her to commit to a year for Tron? Can we get her on that
I'll say
one?
this: I don't particularly like her because she has turned down. Like, she doesn't have a whole lot going on. She has not voiced the character in much else than the movie. So she's, for all her, you know, excitement to be included in this, I'm sure they had to pay her a lot of money because she has turned down every, you know, every video game, every voice work for the dolls or the toys, like whatever. She is not one of those Disney princess voice actors who has voiced the character and she just hasn't done anything but the movie. She has fill-in people. So
Jodie
I don't.
Benson.
She's not my favorite person because she accepted a Disney Legend Award when she worked one time. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm glad she had agreed to do this. I'm glad they talked her into it because obviously this is a big deal. So it should be the right voice of the character, unlike Guardians of the Galaxy and Rocket. You should have the proper people do them. Yeah. But I'm not surprised by anything that was announced. I just love how we continue to be very vague. We have 2 pieces of concept art, a costume, and a logo. That is what we have for this project. It's as if they lied when they said they had already been working on this when they announced it.
Wow. Jason, how soon till Zach Ridley lets us see the floor?
I mean,
The floor is water. It's a
the bayou, right? Yeah. There's no floor.
We source this from
I think. I mean, if you believe they're going to spend budget on anything except the overlay, like fixing the ride system, I think that's funny.
Look at Frozen Ever After. That lift hill's still like this.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next topic. There is a new spiel for the Tomorrowland People Mover, and we got to ride it today and hear it. Desi, were you on that one?
I went on it today, yes.
Okay, so did you hear it? Was it exciting for you? Did you get all the inside jokes?
I liked hearing some of the inside jokes, like if you have wings and antenna or whatever else they said.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute.
And Tom, I know you're a fan of this one, right?
I loved it. Because that's my favorite. My favorite version was 94, like the TTA Blue Line thing.
Yeah.
What bothers me is the fact that they ripped out all of the 94 Tomorrowland as a city stuff, and then for some reason then went back in the People Mover spiel to it being a city. So it's like you're referencing things that are like gone now. So they even reference that, like the Astro Orbiter is the symbol for the city, right? Which it used to be originally. It was the League of Planets Astro Orbiter, and it was this, you know, symbol for the town. And then they reference that again. I'm like, but you ripped out the Robo News guy, and you took down the entrance of the convention center, and you ripped out the payphone, and you took everything down and then reestablished the city story. Regardless, I love it. I think that was it's very cute. I think a lot of the line, I love, like the reference to, look, there's a little people mover. Like in the Epcot model, little stuff like, it's very cute and charming, and I like it. It feels 90s Disney to me, and it feels right.
Yeah. Jason, have you ridden it?
I have
Thoughts?
not,
Okay.
but I do remember Aurak, and he was one of my favorites.
Which is an 80s Tomorrowland.
Yes, that
thing,
was
not a
before the
90s,
94
yeah.
version. The
Well-
computer.
The 9-eye reference I thought was really cool as they go through there, but it's
Whether you
kind
have
of
1 eye or 9.
yeah. There are a lot of neat references, but it's to stuff that we don't have anymore. So that's
Yeah.
kind of sad. But are you saying that because all of this stuff is referencing stuff that's now been pulled out, that maybe the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing?
It's not even the in-jokes, right? Because in-jokes don't matter. Like, we get them, but the brilliant thing in the writing is whether you have 1 eye or 9, they're talking about laugh floor. So a person that never saw Timekeeper is not batting an eye at, oh, they mentioned a creature with 9 eyes. It's Monsters, Inc. There's creatures with all numbers of eyes, right? And the If You Had Wings thing is so buried that we're the only ones that get it, but to the general public, it's still a well-written line, right? It is the opposite of Cosmic Rewind, where it is the perfect balance of fun, nostalgic references for fans, but also it's actually well-written for the general public, and it's cutesy and charming and creates a time and a place and a story for the ride, right?
So they seem to be on, let's move on to the next topic. They seem to be on a tear of making some little changes to Tomorrowland, and I was very specific in not making this clickbaity to say small changes to Walt Disney World, because we know there are big changes maybe coming to the one in Disneyland.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I hear from somebody. But when we're talking about these little changes that they're making, I think the one that I was really the most excited about was the new clothes that they added to the Carousel of Progress in the fourth scene. And I don't know why I'm excited about that, because the rest of the attraction is exactly how it was. We, again, as a group, went on today. It was fun, right? Like, I think we were all looking forward to seeing what do the clothes and the reindeer shoes and everything look like up close anyway. But as we're going through it, I'm like, that's a cool change.
Can we actually, I just noticed something. Can we pull that image back up for a minute? So today was the first time I went, and that's those are the clothing updates. That scene has changed again since then.
What?
Oh.
They're still working on it. They painted the stools a single color, I noticed, and a bunch of the propping so they're still working on it. A bunch of the propping near Mom and in the kitchen was changed since this season, so they're still refreshing the scene.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Did I blink out today, or was the cyber game stuck?
That's probably why the TV was broken. They're in there.
Game over.
They're in there messing around. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
But I mean, let me just ask this audience: were you guys excited about this change?
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody thought it was a negative thing, right? Okay.
Like you said, it's adorable little references that the general public wouldn't necessarily get. It doesn't take away from it.
Yeah.
Like the rocks or the stupid reindeer.
I saw someone say there was some horrible Twitter person that said
That can't be right.
that said that the references are ruining the parks. Like, instead of creating your own story, everything's just like a fun in-joke, and it's
No.
ruining the attractions.
Wait, let
And
me
I'm
guess.
like-
Those people don't like News Tonight either, do they?
Oh.
We only appeal to sensible, functional human beings. So, sorry. I don't agree with that. I think, like, it says "My Food Rocks." Who's gonna look? Who that doesn't know what that is going to look at that and be that's weird.
Well, and
It's an apron.
but compare it to like a conversation you and I were just having about Marvel, is that you can enjoy Marvel Cinematic Universe movies without actually knowing all the lore of the character, because they're fun movies. But if you're a huge comic book nerd, then there's a lot of stuff that's peppered in for you at the same time.
And as
I
my
think
parents
it's
will
kinda the
show,
same thing.
you can enjoy a Marvel movie without even knowing what's going on in the movie.
There you go.
Dad, you know what happened? I have no idea, but it was good. There's a lot of action.
That new Mighty Thor. All right. Well, again, that was just something that we were really excited about when we went to see it today. I was excited about it, and I love when they make little changes to the parks. I mean, when they added the Coco scene, or when they changed the clothes in the Carousel of Progress, or anything like that. It's always nice to see them, kind of refreshing the magic. So, in the same vein, Tomorrowland, there is this looming coaster that's out there that we don't know when it's coming, but for the 40th anniversary of Tron, they came up and showed an image. Disney, what was it?
Is this
Disney?
thing going to open for any anniversary?
Yeah, exactly. So they showed they shared an image with us to celebrate the anniversary of Tron, the 1982 movie, but they didn't really tell us anything else about it. We still don't know when it's going to open. The only other thing that I saw about it, which I don't know that I knew, was that you're going to be transported into the grid, and you're going to be going in through a different portal than the one in Shanghai, is what they said, right? So like it's a different portal.
It's the same goddamn thing.
Absolutely.
You can see it from the PeopleMover. It's the stupid, the whatever that.
No,
you're
you
a
got to
big
use your
Tron fan.
imagination.
What's the thing that zaps them into the computer? That like gun-looking metal. What is that?
It's like the D-Res.
Whatever that thing is, it sits at the entrance of the ride, and as you're queuing, it like goes off and makes noise, and then you go through a very normal-looking door, and it's cool inside, but it's not different here.
Well, so
It's like seeing Ratatouille's different here because they added like a room in the queue with a painting.
I'm really bothered by this because I am a huge Tron fan. I want to see this come to light, and at the same time, they're working on it. It's sitting on the edge of Tomorrowland. It's glowing at night. The trains are running, and we still have not heard one thing from anybody about when this thing is opening up, and it's driving me nuts. But Desi, do you even care that this thing's coming?
I do care, although I think that by the time it opens, my kids will be tall enough to ride it, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, that's cool. Maybe Nick, too. He might be tall enough to ride it. Jason, they added the coaster for the Guardians coaster to Epcot. Do you think that they need to continue, and I think you maybe mentioned this on your show, about just roller coasters. Do you think they need to be continuing to add roller coasters to the park?
I think they need to add attractions.
Okay.
And Tron is an example of an added attraction. It didn't take the place of anything. The problem with Guardians, the problem with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is that they took the place of other attractions. So we're not actually getting more attractions, we're just getting some new ones. And if the old ones you like, then there's really no plus. So Tron, I think, is good because it's an additional attraction.
That being said, if the Speedway had closed, we would have been okay.
I still would have been okay with that. I still would like to see the Speedway closed, but at least now they have the opportunity to replace it with something.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Right?
but that's the thing is I would love to see them replace it with something, but I don't want to see it close and go away if they're not going to replace it with anything. Not necessarily because I love it, but because it's a continued people eater of
It
sorts.
draws
because
people
do love
away
it.
from the attractions that I like. Yes.
Exactly. That's what I'm
Right?
saying. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
Jason, there's such a long line for Carousel of Progress at Tiki.
I mean, there's a long line for Spaceship Earth nowadays. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah. So, before we move on from this topic, though, Tom, do you have any other thoughts on Tron?
It opened 6 years ago in another place. It's old news. It didn't open for the 50th. It's less compelling and interesting than Guardians is. So it opening after Guardians is it's just gonna draw this comparison that people are gonna be mean to it because it's shorter and it's a less interesting thing.
I like it better.
It should have
though.
opened before Guardians. You like Tron better than
Yeah.
Guardians?
Yeah.
Oh.
Tron didn't make me ill.
No, they're very different things, but like Guardians is just so long, and the projection stuff is done so much better than Tron that
I mean, I don't care about the projection stuff at all in Tron, though.
it's the whole second half of that ride. Right? So Tron is very short, and the first half of the ride is just I've launched and I've turned around, and then you go in the building, and the second 30 seconds of the ride is projections. So
Yeah.
it's half of the experience.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Tron in general, but I got to say that as much as I'm excited about the roller coaster, I'm also excited that there's actually going to be new merch. I know that we were talking about electronica, and like all the merch that was there around that's going to be a problem for me.
It was the only attraction in Shanghai that still had its merchandise when we went. So obviously it sold well even in a market where no one had money for merchandise. So I think it's a pretty good indicator, right?
Yeah. Let's move on to the next one. I called this The Last Jedi because apparently we're going to stop training Jedis. The signage is down for the Jedi Training Academy, which went down before COVID happened. And as much as we started talking about all of the things that have come back, there hasn't been an episode of ParksCenter where we haven't said, oh, I forgot that was still something else that needed to come back other than Phantasmic. And then today, of course, we had additional news that a lot of things have disappeared from the website, like the fireworks at
Galactic Spectacular, trolley show at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is probably also along the way.
Disneyland killed the show off pre-COVID. It was a pre-Galaxy's Edge decision. So I thought it was going to happen in Florida anyway. So I can't say I'm surprised.
Desi, did you ever have your kids do this?
No, they aren't old enough yet. So I'm super sad that now they'll never
You can
get
buy
to
them a $225 lightsaber.
Or I can buy them a $5,000 experience to go do this on the Starcruiser.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, maybe do you, Jason? Do you think this has anything to do with the Starcruiser? I mean, probably not.
I don't think so. I think it probably has to do with just entertainment cuts in general.
Yeah. It was such a cool thing to see the little kids walking through the park, holding their
It was
lightsabers.
Nick's favorite.
Yeah.
He's a big Star Wars fan.
Okay.
Big Star Wars fan.
Let's move on to the next one. So again, talking about things that they're continuing to bring things back. They're bringing back character meals. I think Jake's probably pretty excited that Stitch is coming back to Ohana. There it is. It's gonna be a minute though. Like, Tom, why is it taking so long? Is it just not wanting to pay for the characters to come in? Because it's not COVID.
No, I mean, they're having the same problem as everyone else. People don't want to come back to work, right? I mean, that's what it is. They're kind of like choosing their battles. I mean, there's certainly stuff that they don't want to pay for.
Yeah.
And I think in some cases there was an experiment, right? I think with like Kate May, they were like, if we didn't have the characters for breakfast, would people still go to breakfast? And they realized, they're like, oh, people won't.
Nope.
Because our breakfast is awful.
Yeah.
It's like we forgot the only reason we could serve slop was because people could meet characters.
But obviously, I feel like Topolino's is the exception to that, because they have great characters, but they also have I feel like they have good food. You don't think they have good food?
No.
Okay.
I've never. Oh, Topolino?
Topolino.
Oh, Topolino's good. Yeah.
What did you think? I
thought we were talking about Trattoria. So.
Oh, Trattoria.
Trattoria. Someone argued with me this week that Trattoria had a good breakfast. I was like, you're out of your.
It does.
Get out of here.
It has a good breakfast.
No way.
It does.
I will
Ask
say.
Eric.
Yeah, Eric
Eric said he
was
had
the
the
one.
best steak on property at Trattoria Al Forno breakfast.
Breakfast?
Breakfast.
Against flying fish, the best steak on property.
I don't know. That's what he said.
So no, you calm down. So there was. So with the character thing though, one of the things, like, my daughter loves that breakfast, but she hated the characters because they were all the face characters. So Flynn Rider came down at one point and like sat right next to her on the other side. He was like, "Oh, you don't want to interact? I'm going to interact with you," and she hated it. And so when she was coming back, she was like, "I want to go there for breakfast. Are the characters there?" And I said, "No." And she was like, "We're going." And she was very excited about it. So, I mean, I think that there is some times where if you've been as many times as we have, sometimes you're like,
I just want to eat.
that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I get that. I
eat.
get that for sure, but there are also plenty of non-character meals at Disney World.
True.
But the other thing is that the character breakfast costs more,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
For
so
the characters, yeah.
and so this really isn't a money decision, because I think they make up the difference in the cost with charging more for the breakfast, so it has to be a staffing issue.
It's probably a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. I think
Yeah.
they wanted to just see, right? Those restaurants hadn't served non-character meals in decades, right?
I mean, Trattoria wasn't crowded when we
Crystal
went.
Palace has been a character meal almost my entire life. You know?
Yeah.
And it soon will be again. And you,
Thank God, because you're not going there for the food. Good grief. I once had what they called,
Chicken?
no, kind of, what they called jambalaya. And I was like, doesn't jambalaya need rice? It's like, you could call this jambalaya? All right, cool.
Okay, let's move on to the next topic. There was an evacuation in space. So the Starcruiser had an evacuation, which has to be jarring, especially when you expect there to be space outside your window and it's a 3-story scaffolding and grass.
Yeah.
But again, here's my bigger question about this, because obviously if there is an emergency, they need to be able to get people out. I get that.
Yeah.
But my question is, and I'll throw it to both of you guys because you've been, if you pay that much for that experience, how do they make that up to you?
I mean, things happen, right? I mean, it's not within their control, right? If a fire alarm goes off, the fire alarm goes off, right? I don't know, do they owe you something at that point? It's a
I mean,
fire
if you
alarm.
get evac'd off of like Rise of the Resistance, do they give you anything?
They give you like a thing to come back.
Yeah, so you should get a fast pass to return to Starcruiser another time.
That I'd be on board with, but that's
like a $50 credit at that point or something silly.
yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Is I think that it has to be. I mean, the experience.
I mean,
like,
my issue would be less of the fact that I was thrust out of the story and into the real world or whatever. My issue would be is it probably took an hour and you have so precious little time on the Starcruiser to begin with,
Right.
that like if you're sitting in the bar having a drink and you got to evacuate, that's a huge chunk of time out of your day. That would have been my issue more than the fact that I had to go outside.
And then your drink gets watered down with the ice.
Yeah, right?
melting.
And then it's like everything's messed up.
What a problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and Desi, just asking you, like, what do you think? Because you haven't been on it yet, but if you were to have that experience.
I would expect a Camptano waiting for me when I got back.
Okay. You just want a Camptano no matter what
Yeah,
at this point. It doesn't really matter. But seriously, about I mean, would you feel like they owed you something, or would you just feel like stuff happens?
I feel like if it was at a regular hotel, I would think stuff happens, but I don't know. I don't know.
Again, I get that it's.
Real-world building. Things can happen to both of them.
I mean, if you got an evac, my thought is at least I'm actually not in outer space. Right? Like, it's got to be better to evac from somewhere
I wish you
on
were
land.
in outer space.
All right, so let's move on to the next topic because I think that this will change the way that people apply for jobs at WDWNT. So apparently there was a gentleman who stole an R2-D2. We've all wanted to do that. I don't know how you do that. This is like the whole Buzzy thing. You put it under your coat and like sneak it out. So then the question is, he gets caught and then he says, oh, I was just testing your security so that you would give me a job. I mean, is this the smartest excuse ever, Jason, or did this guy really, do you think he was really auditioning for a job?
I mean, is it an excuse? Is it just this guy is an idiot? I don't know. I mean, it's clearly not difficult to steal things from Walt Disney World, so I'm sure that the answer would have been different had he not got caught.
I don't know. It was really
on reserve.
it was really hard to get that magnet today. So they've like, you know, clamped down on the magnets. I can't imagine why they would just let a $10,000 R2-D2 go. Different people, I guess.
Yeah.
They need to get these magnet people watching the R2-D2.
That's what they should do. They shouldn't let you out of the park without scanning your ticket.
That is interesting because, yeah, like when you go out of Disneyland, you still have to go through the turnstiles. Now that they have the touch points, how do they keep track of that?
Facial recognition.
Okay.
Magic bands.
Well, all right. Well, I mean, I just felt like we needed to talk about that, but let's move on.
I think my favorite part is that he's at the Swan Reserve. Like, you could have picked a different hotel, but you picked the Swan Reserve.
Well, you know, you got to be original in this day and age if you really want to get, if you really want people to take notice. I mean, Polynesian, so many things happen to the Polynesian, you wouldn't even get it on the blotter.
I mean, in fairness, that new DVC wing of the Polynesian probably look a lot like the Swan Reserve.
Let's go on to the top of the world. When they announced this villains thing that they were doing, which starts tomorrow, correct?
Yeah.
When they announced the villains thing, I thought, okay, that's kind of cool because as a DVC member, I've been to the top of the world, and I thought, all right, you're adding something, and you're not really going to charge me anything more for this experience. And then they come up with this great way to charge you for something you were already getting for free, which is the fireworks view. I went up there before. We went in, we sat down at a little table, we got our food. Then they said, oh, the fireworks are starting. We're going to mark your table here. We'll hold your table here. Go see the fireworks. And it was just very cool and relaxing. And oh my gosh, for DVC, we're actually getting a benefit here. And now they're charging a hard-ticketed dessert party price for special reserved seating. And Jason, I know that you like to rant about DVC.
Yeah, I mean, this is akin to the DVC discounts on annual passes that disappeared too. I mean, it went from a discount to, well, now you're allowed to buy this pass that's otherwise restricted to Florida residents. But I mean, this is just another example of all facets and all divisions of the company trying to take the guests for as much money as they possibly can. You know, if nobody goes to this, I'm sure it's going to fizzle out. My hope is that, you know, like once all the bloggers go and review it and then write that it wasn't worth the money.
I don't think anyone's going to write that. Here's the thing. It's not even an honesty thing. It's $55, I think?
Yes.
What do you get? You get appetizer, entree, and dessert?
Dessert, yeah.
You have to pay for food up there anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like making a reservation to go to Top of the World. So
That's a reasonable argument because it used to be that you couldn't go up there often.
But that's what I'm going to pay to eat up there anyway, right?
Yeah, well,
so it's them kind of making sure people buy stuff, right? Because I will tell you, I've seen people go up there and not
Oh, yeah.
buy stuff.
Well, the
right?
question
Which
is, I think
you're taking up a seat from someone who would have went there and bought something.
I think the question and the difference in my book is that, you know, there were X number of people that could be seated in the lounge, but there were plenty more people that could stand outside just to watch the fireworks and then leave.
Yeah.
Right? And so...
Well, this is not taking that away. This is a reserved space, which means there's still additional space.
Right. So as long as they leave the space for any DVC members that are staying there to go up and watch the fireworks for free, it's hard to argue.
Still, it's going to be weird in that very small balcony space to separate out. Sorry, sir, don't cross that red line. They paid $55.
Well, there's two
Sorry,
different
so
sides.
they paid 70 grand plus 55.
Oh,
But there's
exactly.
also two different sides. So my thought is like they'll have one side for the people that paid and one side for the peons.
It's a regular.
Then they rumble.
Yeah. It's a regular Sneetches situation. I love where
You're
you're going with that.
Saratoga, and he spit on the Saratoga people.
So, really, the last question I have is for Desi. Patrick, who is a regular on ParksCenter, promised to take you
He
to
did.
Top of the World.
Yep.
Do you think he will buy you the $55 package?
I mean, he said that he would take me up. So I'm going to
Can he
hold.
take us? I have no one to cover this.
Maybe. I don't know. He was just throwing it around.
I'm going to hold him to it. And
Okay.
I mean, if he's a good friend, of course he's going to.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right, so let's move on to Disneyland, and the Pirates of the Caribbean finally opened after a generous refreshing of this beloved attraction. They spent months meticulously fixing every little bone in the attraction. And then the first day it opened, it looks like nothing changed, and the entire thing kept going down. So, Tom, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, did they do anything?
It was a general refurb. I think it was probably all mechanical, ride system stuff, you know? I don't know.
It was down for such
I
a...
feel like this story fascinated people because Disney World people are like, we only take down rides when, like, we're gonna change out a seat. And at Disneyland, and most of the other, like Tokyo has a regular schedule. So Pooh's Honey Hunt like closes every March for like 2 weeks. That's just every year. That's what they do. And Disneyland, not quite on that schedule, but Pirates will go down for a couple months every other year, essentially. And Matterhorn goes down like twice a year every year. And so, and they come back with very little change because it's general maintenance, right? And this was a case of where I guess they didn't finish whatever they were supposed to finish.
But it was like a 3 to 4 month refurbishment.
Yeah.
And obviously there were some other things going on because they were opening up that entire area.
Pathway work with the tree. And
exactly.
but then the
return
queue
of
reopened
Phantasm.
with very little changed outside, so it was weird.
But there's a different disability entrance now, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. But then the Blue Bayou opened up, and I guess there was testing going on, and you could see that
People
was
ate with the
happening.
wall for a while, you know.
Yeah, that's
Really,
fun.
really charming.
I don't know. I feel like this is kind of a linchpin of attraction. And I think
Oh,
taking
for
it
sure.
down for 3 or 4 months and not doing anything special to it, I don't know. I mean, obviously you don't want to ruin it, but at the same time.
It's a local audience, right? It doesn't generally matter. Like they all have been on it before. They go on it all the time,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, let them eat cake. I got it. But there is some wondrous news coming, which is that there is the rumor there's going to be a brand new fireworks spectacular for the 100 years of Disney at Disneyland. Jason, I don't know how often you get out there, but I mean, do you feel like that we should see a replacement for Enchantment first before they get a new show?
We need a replacement for Enchantment and Harmonious
Oh.
and Rivers of Light, and we need Phantasmic to come back. But at the same time, I mean, Disneyland's fireworks shows have always been better than ours.
Yeah.
So it's not
No?
have most of the time been better than ours.
Happily was pretty great.
I didn't like Happily, but anyway.
How dare you?
Wait, what?
The crowd's about to turn on you.
I liked Wishes better than Happily. I mean, I liked Happily better than Enchantment.
Yeah.
But I
So
like
it's just getting
Wishes
worse and
better
worse
than-
for you.
It is.
Okay.
To the point where I don't actually stay for the fireworks most nights. Although I
Because
don't.
it's past your bedtime.
I don't stay for the show at Epcot either. But it's. I mean, it's always been difficult to compare Disneyland fireworks with ours, because it's a different. It's, for whatever reason, they have more shows. They rotate them more often. They have, some shows are better. Most shows are better. I don't know. I think it's just another example of the fact that Disneyland is a local audience and those people are pickier. And here, it's a bunch of stupid tourists, and Disney's like, they won't know what they don't get.
Let them eat slop.
They have less surface area to project onto with the Disneyland castle.
So then they don't use projections
so
as
that's
much.
why they have
That's
more
great.
sky space.
Unless you watch from Small World, which is,
Yes.
you get that whole.
But I feel like there's a lot going on there at night between the Mickey's Mix Magic.
There is.
And
Someone's trying.
It's
Yeah,
great. They have
cool.
nighttime entertainment.
Effort.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
But to your point earlier, like if you're at Disneyland, you can park hop, you go and you watch Fantasmic and you shuffle over and you see World of Color and you come back and you watch the fireworks. And so there's just a lot going on there in a very small space to be able to see all that kind of stuff. And Desi, I don't know, I want to ask your opinion on this. Let's take them out of it for a second. Do you dislike the current Disney World fireworks shows, Harmonious and Enchantment?
I think that my problem with Harmonious is less about the show itself and more about what I have to look at all day before the show starts in the middle of the lagoon. So the show for Harmonious, I don't mind. With Enchantment, it's that it replaced Happily Ever After, which I think was a superior show.
Yeah, I loved Wishes. Absolutely. I came to see the final Wishes and brought my kids to see that.
Me
But
too.
at the same time, I really feel like Happily found a place in my heart because it just really kind of like moved me. And I don't get that with Enchantment. I don't hate it. I know Jill was talking about that on the earlier show, is that people who are around you, you want to go like, you think this is great, you should have seen Horizons. You think this is great, you should have seen Happily.
I loved Wishes, and when I heard it was going away, I was heartbroken, devastated. No way they could ever top this. Went to go see the final one, and then didn't come back for months. I think out of resentment before I saw Happily Ever After, and then when I saw it, I cried.
Like not in a good way.
Cried because it moved me. I loved it.
Okay, gotcha. Let's move on 2 topics down, Jake, to the WDW merch situation, because this bothers me. I don't think it bothers anybody else, and I'm sure
Bothers
that
me.
there's. Oh, okay, all right, good.
Bothers me too.
So when you go to Disneyland, you can get Flower and Garden. You can get stuff from the countries at Epcot, and you can get Orange Bird, and now you can get Cosmic Rewind. And so I get that when they do something and it's generic, it's Disney Parks stuff.
Guys, this is all at Epcot. You could have bought
Yeah,
this.
you could have had this today.
But
But when you go and you go out to this place where it should be a little bit more special, and you see the same stuff that you have here. And Jason, you said this bothers you. It bothers you too?
It's just asinine. I mean, who goes to Disney? Like, why does the company expect people in California to buy this stuff? Like, they buy it and it's a money thing, and I get that, but it's just moronic to think that there's a reason that they do this.
I am planning my first trip to Disneyland Paris. I went to Epcot to buy the 30th anniversary Paris ears.
Yeah.
So maybe people in California, because it's a lot of locals,
So
are
to
I
planning
flew to Paris for the 30th anniversary, and then the merchandise is here? Why am I going?
Right. And
Why
so,
am I? Avengers Campus in Paris, there's like 5 items that are new. The rest is the same as California. The Ratatouille ride vehicle cars are now in France. Everything's everywhere. Why? Tokyo, the Disney store in Tokyo has Disney World 50th merchandise. What makes it special? It shouldn't even be on Shop Disney, and I apologize to the people who only come once or twice a year. But what is special about any of this product? If you can mail order it, if you can get it anywhere, it ceases to be special product.
And I don't have a problem with them putting stuff on Shop Disney that hasn't sold in the parks and they have a warehouse full of
Junky
it.
stuff, sure. Like
Right?
Mickey plush, like generic stuff, sure.
But
it
even-
shouldn't be things related to specific events.
Or attractions.
You want to go, and I went there and I had to get this there because it was the only place you can get. It makes it
Makes it
the
special.
souvenir special.
I bought it
Yeah.
ahead of time, knowing that I'm going for the Disneyland.
See,
Paris.
that's fine, but you're 0.01% of the people who have bought Disneyland Paris 30th merchandise at Disney World.
I
so
did-
these schmucks are walking around with Paris 30th ears.
They probably
and here
don't
I am,
even
I
know.
flew across the world to be there for the day, and I have nothing special.
Desi, you're
because-
part of the problem.
I did ask the cast member.
No, she has that's a valid reason
I
she
did
has it
ask
before she
the
arrived.
cast member at Epcot how many people come in here to buy these ears because they know they're going to Paris, and she says nobody. They're all coming just because they like the ears.
Yeah.
Jake, put this picture back up, though. This is the one that bothers me. It's the freaking ride vehicle. Like, I get selling...
Maybe if they had their own Guardians ride at DCA, they could sell merchandise for that.
Hey, maybe that. But again, like the generic Groot stuff or the generic Guardian stuff, I kind of get that. But the stuff that is
but again,
specific,
like ride specific, right?
Yes, exactly. That to me drives me
It's
crazy.
okay to share a couple of things, and like the Ratatouille vehicle is a lesser thing, right? My larger problem is that most of the time they don't even re-tag the stuff. So like DCA was selling Remy's Ratatouille Adventure merchandise with Epcot tags, and I'm like, what are you doing? And I see people, like, I remember going in Buena Vista Street and they had all the flower and garden stuff up. I just was standing there for a minute. I heard like regular guests come in and they're like, stuff says Epcot on it. They're like, why is this here? And then they just walk away from it and they're like, you're confusing people. This is nonsense. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, Jungle Cruiser was in chat saying I go to Disneyland and I hate seeing WDW merchandise here.
You
And
shouldn't.
yeah, exactly. But like if you go into the Wonderground at Disney, downtown Disney, you can find things that say United Kingdom. Like they're
They're selling all that Epcot stuff,
Right, and it just to
That's
me
in Fantasyland. There's a shop in Fantasyland, the new Merlin store is purely United Kingdom Epcot merchandise.
What?
yeah.
In Fantasyland at Disneyland.
No,
they
and to your-
just sell all the United Kingdom Peter Pan merchandise.
And to your point, though, you want something, when you go and you travel, you want something unique to that place.
Yeah.
I will say that, different from any of this, the one thing that drove me most nuts was all that exclusive merchandise they sold at D23 2019. And that I waited 4 hours in line for to get 12 of those logo pins that when the parks reopened here, Jason went in and bought, 3 packs of them, like in 5 minutes.
We have the cool box.
Oh, well, you have the cool box.
Oh, you didn't get the
I didn't get the cool box.
I'm sorry.
So, yeah. But I mean, it's
so different.
But then, like, some of the Epcot shirts were the same. The things that they had
were,
there.
they were similar. They were at least the same design, slightly different. But
So, I mean, I do
same
think they
idea.
should be unique.
We just talked about the other day. I have those stupid Haunted Mansion Host to Ghost jars.
Yeah.
So I went to I flew to Disneyland to do the Haunted Mansion 50 event in 2019.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
I was like, this is so cool. And this is a merchandise event. People have flown from all over the world to go to a Haunted Mansion 50th anniversary merchandise event. And here I am with my 9 stupid jars, and the 3 of us on the airplane, that's all of our carry-on. The boxes are huge. So all 3 carry-ons are Haunted Mansion jars. And then I land in Florida and someone texts me, the jars are here. So I flew across the country with these stupid jars that were down the street when I went to the 50th event at Disneyland, specifically to buy Haunted Mansion 50th merchandise. And then it's here where it wasn't even 50 years old.
Okay, well, moving on. Speaking of things that are haunted, Halloween night has sold out for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And that in itself would be somewhat impressive if Oogie Boogie nights in Disneyland hadn't sold out completely. The Oogie Boogie Bash. You almost beat me to it, but I think I got it out first. The Oogie Boogie Bash. So the Oogie Boogie Bash has to be the coolest hard ticketed event I've ever been. Anybody here been to the Oogie Boogie Bash? It's cool, right? Yeah, I mean, it's better than, I'm sorry to say this, it's better than any hard-ticketed event I've attended at Disney World. And so I don't doubt that it's sold out, and it sold out quickly. And I know you and I were on trying to get the D23, the event tickets. So I don't know. I love this event. I'm excited for this. And I think in general, Disneyland does such a great job because of Haunted Mansion Holiday. I am very passionate about, Nightmare Before Christmas. So seeing that is always a huge thing. But Oogie Boogie Bash, I mean, are you jazzed to go back to this?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a good time. I wish the World of Color show was coming back, the villain one, even if it was a little weird.
Yeah.
That's kind of a downgrade to not have that. But otherwise, I mean, it's. So my significant other had never been to a Disneyland hard ticket event. We'd been to some of the After Dark, but those are even different.
Yeah.
But we've done a million Halloween parties, a million Christmas parties, and at the end of she didn't even want to go to it last time, and at the end of it, she turns to me, she goes, "This is the best party we've ever been to." And I said, "Yeah, I can't argue that. Like you see way more characters. Those treat trails are just such a thoughtful thing because people wait hours to meet Jack and Sally here, and those other meet and greets, and then you have these cool treat trails where you go past them and they're talking to you, and they give you so much more candy, and then the parade's really cute, and the atmosphere is great. And there's weird, different stuff too, right? That crazy trail in Redwood Creek is such a weird, different, interesting thing to do.
Yeah.
And there's more villains out, and oddball villains. Like we met Governor Radcliffe with Percy. And I freaked out. He had Percy in his arm, and I'm like, we have to go.
But the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Sheriff of Nottingham,
But then they also came up with some unique stuff, like they had Sid and the Cruella from the movie.
Live action.
And live action Sid was
and
so
later,
good.
Zombie Cap, right?
Oh yeah, they had
we
a
missed
Zombie
that.
Cap.
They screwed us on that. But
They did.
We went to an early party and he wasn't there.
Yeah, that would have been cool to do. But they've hinted at 2 new ones coming this year. And Jake, if you want to put that up, it's a wilting flower and the candles. And so our guess here is that it's Madam Mim and Mother Gothel.
Which I'm the first person in that Madam Mim line. I love Sword in the Stone. I'm super excited.
Yeah. But I mean, Jason, have you been to the Oogie Boogie Bash before?
I have not.
Do you have plans to go? Or?
I would like to go if I could get a ticket.
The secondary market is full of them.
Yeah. That is the other thing, that apparently people bought them up so they could resell them. And Desi, when are you planning on going for your Disneyland trip?
After Paris and after Tokyo, maybe.
After Paris and after Tokyo. Wow. Okay.
So like 2028?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows what will be going on by then? I mean, Tron could be open here. We don't know.
I'm just curious if live action Sid was better than live action Buzz.
Yes.
I mean, it depends who you are. There are some men and women who would definitely prefer that live action Buzz. There were some comments we had to delete.
Oh no.
Why didn't we bring that up on Tom Unplugged last night? I feel like that would have been necessary. So let's go to the next topic. There are some perks coming to Disneyland hotels. There are only 3 proper Disneyland hotels, and while I think perks are a good thing, especially as expensive as these rooms are, Tom, do they need them? Do they need these perks? I mean, the perks are you get to priorities.
For the amount of money I have been charged to stay at the Paradise Pier Hotel, I would expect much more.
Okay.
It's kind of dumpy for that price. Right?
But don't they charge that because they can, because people
they
fill
right?
those
but
up?
I mean, I remember staying there and being like, this was $500 a night. This is insane.
Yeah, it is. It is
Now
crazy.
you say that about All Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've been dragged for how much I pay for pop.
It's
so
nice
I
to
get
get
it,
that gate back, right? Like, it's nice that if you stay at the Paradise Pier, eventually Pixar Hotel, you just cross the street and get into DCA. That's nice. That is a big deal. And that probably means they could charge more, right? If they're already charging a boatload and you had to walk through the Grand Californian, now you have an actual entrance, like you could probably charge $100 more a night and it's fine, right?
Yeah. Jason, when do you go? Where do you usually stay? Do you stay on a Disney property?
I usually stay DVC at Grand Californian.
How do you get that? Because it's always booked when I go.
gotta book super
Can you
have
tell me
to
after,
book-
maybe?
You have to book 7 months out
Okay.
on the day.
But it's true, you have always got it every time.
Every time I want it, I've
People are like,
gotten it.
how? People always
Yeah.
ask how.
Yep.
But I mean, that's the thing is those hotels are always crowded. Part of the perks are going to be you're going to be able to have priority over dining reservations.
Great.
I would love to have that here. Like, how do we
Yeah.
make that happen?
Should be a thing.
The
Yeah.
problem is
It's
there's
easier
too
to
many
control
hotels
there,
here.
right? It's easier to control. There's less people.
Yeah. And then also 30 minutes, the early entry into the park, which should have happened, and then also package delivery.
And one that's not advertised. No one ever talks about this. They have their own park pass reservation calendar. So every time I've stayed at usually I book a Disneyland hotel because then I can get my park passes. I have never not gotten a day I needed as a Disneyland hotel guest. They have their own pool.
And they don't do that here.
They don't do that here, no. But it's not advertised for Disneyland, but you get in wherever you want any day as a Disneyland hotel guest. Which is great. I mean, it makes it worth it,
because, and they can't do that here because they have way too many hotels.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. But again, they're just so full all the time that the idea that they would have to make it more attractive. Like, again, Disney seems to not want to do anything these days they don't have to do. And I think, Jason, you talked about that earlier, too. They're not doing things they don't have to do. Why would they do this, then, if these hotels are already booked up?
Maybe because they can charge more for these hotel
I
rooms?
think the difference is that the Disneyland crowd is a more local crowd. And so you get locals that wouldn't stay there otherwise that do
But
for
it's
the
full
perks.
all the time, right? I still think it's an obligation. I think there is a lot of management at Disneyland that take pride in the fact that they work at Disneyland. And I think they have more of a conscience than the Florida management ever has.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason you have a bunch of nighttime entertainment back, and at the same time they're developing a new nighttime show in the midst of that, right? And the reason why we have nothing going on is like some people there occasionally care. I'm not saying Disneyland's perfect. They have their moments like here, but more often than not, we sit here and we're like, we got nothing. And Disneyland's like, we're doing this and this and this and this. And I think it's an obligation and a responsibility and a conscience about what you're charging people.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's move on. Just go to Tokyo for a minute, because this Lena Bell thing, this new friend of Duffy who was part of Shanghai, exclusive to Shanghai for a while, is now coming to Tokyo. A lot of awe. Do you guys do you like Lena Bell? Yeah. Okay. Desi, are you a Duffy fan?
Yes. When I was at Aulani, we went to go see Duffy, and he was so cute. So I love that they bring the Tokyo characters over to Aulani, so you can still see them in the U.S. kind of.
Yeah, that's true. Tom, are you going to collect all of Lena Bell, or are you just Gelatoni staying all the way?
It's his girlfriend, right? So I gotta, my son is getting of the age when he's interested in that now. So, I got to get him a girlfriend, right?
Yeah. Jason, do you get into this? The
No,
Duffy
I hate
thing
all of it.
Even Gelatoni? Gelatoni's an artist. He works hard. Like, Stella Lou is the worst. Stella Lou's a dancer in New York. You're not gonna make it, kid. Give up.
I have a Stella.
I hate her. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't like Duffy and Shelley May either. I really just like Gelatoni. I hate Olu Mel. I don't like Cookie
You like
Ann.
Olu Mel?
Don't. No, they're fake friends of Duffy, right? If they weren't developed by OLC, they're not real. This one's okay because they literally just copied and pasted Gelatoni and changed the color and made a longer tail. You had a winning formula, right?
I like Olu Mel.
But they do, and I brought that up, Jake. They do merchandise, and they do. So they're doing merchandise.
That Sherlock Holmes outfit though is on. She's Slay queen.
I don't know that you're allowed to use that. We'll ask.
Oh, is Lauren yelling no at me?
Yes, probably.
What should I say? What do the kids say now?
Don't say anything.
I'm not Nick.
Wow. Yeah, that was lit. Anyway, the snacks though, like, do they normally do snacks for stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, again, I mean, going
there's been
overboard.
food.
It's basically they're making merchandise for merchandise, right? Isn't
Yeah.
Lena Bell basically merchandise?
So like at Cape Cod, at that dinner, lunch, whatever it is, there's always a souvenir plate and mug and cup. Like, that's always a thing. So whenever the seasonal Duffy celebration is, there are food gifts. You could buy food and they come with these gift things. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So finally, around the hub, or actually, we're getting near the end. The Avengers campus had their grand presentation of the land, and your boy Bob Chapek was there, and so
Was he?
we had actually
That's
talked.
not Ironmonger.
No, no, not this time. You know, we've been sitting around talking about who we thought would be there, like would it be Paul Bettany, and you, for some reason, thought it would be Brie Larson, and it was Brie Larson. Why did you think that?
Investigative journalism, right?
Oh,
so
sure.
number one, she filmed a promo for Hotel New York, The Art of Marvel. She is in the ride. She's in Flight Force, right? And then she also did like a whole promo when they announced she was in Flight Force. So I just had that. It just seemed to make sense. It seemed that she was on board, right? Like she was clearly under contract to do promotional appearances for Paris. Yeah.
I mean, it looks very similar to our Avengers campus here, and you're headed out there to take a look at it for yourself.
I'm leaving tomorrow.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're not going to have to bring a lot of merch back because
No, because there's like 4 different things.
it's the same thing.
Yeah, and also the land looks like it sucks, so, you know, be a good time. I can't believe, it looks like they went cheaper than they did in California, which I was not expecting. Can I go on a Paris rant? Am I allowed?
You know what? Go ahead.
They came out and they made this big announcement. If you want to know the difference between Bob Iger's Disney company and Bob Chapek's Disney company, it could all be spelled out in how they fix a park. Look at the way they fixed California Adventure. They put a $1 billion amazing land with an original e-ticket that is not anywhere else, right? And they built a new beautiful entry. They changed the vibe of that park. That park felt hokey and amusement parky and kind of cheap. And they're like, we need to change the culture in this park. And here you have the actual worst Disney park that has ever been built in Walt Disney Studios Paris, and you have done nothing to change that culture. You left the ugly entrance, you left this middle section that just has a partner statue, a planter, some flat buildings, and the Tower of Terror shoved behind it. You've left that there, and your answer to fix this park now is we kind of dressed up the ugliest section of any Disney park on earth, this back lot, where we had the Armageddon stunt show and rock and roller coaster. And again, you've expanded a park without adding attractions, right? You took out Armageddon and replaced that with web slingers. That's 1 for 1. Whether you want to call Armageddon an attraction or not, it was. And then you just rethemed rock and roller coaster. You have added no capacity to this park that has no capacity. You've added nothing. And then on top of that, a park that is known to be concrete and stucco and kind of cheap, you built a land that is pavers and brick buildings and worn out brick buildings and steel, exposed steel. That does not change the culture of that park. Frozen, not the answer, right? Build a ride that you already have at Epcot for 10 years by the time it opens in Paris. Not an original thing, but nonetheless a fantastical land, right? Which changes the vibe of that park. It needs to get away from concrete and asphalt and steel. It needs to get away from that. And instead, that's the difference, right? Look at what DCA evolved into as well. This is not an evolution. This is cheap Band-Aid IP infusion fixes, which is what Pixar Pier was. It's what they did to Epcot. It's all that this regime is capable of budgetarily and creatively. It's garbage.
If Tom's rant has convinced you to travel to Paris, contact the Vacationeer.
You should, though. You should go to Paris, though,
official
because the
travel
first
partner.
park is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It is the
Oh, yeah.
best
He-
castle park on earth,
Yeah.
the best pirates, the best mansion, the best thunder.
Best fantasy.
So
He's convinced me to not get a park hopper when I go.
well, I was going to say though, what is it that's so exciting about Paris for you that that's the next one on your list?
We already
You're allowed
just have
to
it.
go.
We already
Good point.
we already had a trip planned to France and Switzerland, so I wanted to make sure that we hit up Disneyland while we're there.
Are you doing like a 50-50 Disney and all the rest, or?
Just one day,
Oh no.
you know.
So,
it's
well, no
it's
wonder you had to get
enough.
your ears ahead of time.
Yeah.
One last thing on that, though, Tom. Do you think that there's anything that you could see in like these attractions when you get over there, well, specifically the Iron Man coaster, like that would change your mind?
The paid-off media. Let me tell you about Inside Ears real quick. Inside Ears is a program where, in order to control the narrative, Disneyland Paris will let almost any fan site in as long as they play by the rules. They give them all these rules. No leaking, no blah, 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 blah. They have all these rules, right? And they're people with 1,000 followers that are put onto a media list, essentially, so they can control the narrative in France, right? And even those people went on Flight Force and were like, this is worse than Rock and Roller Coaster.
Wow.
Those people are invited press who have a set of rules to follow and still were even, stepping lightly, but still were like, it's kind of bad.
See,
They're calling Web Slingers like the greatest ride they've ever been on, which I don't know how, but.
Jake, one last thing on this one with this picture that I have up. Would we let our Spider-Man do this?
He has a safety thing. He's holding a wire.
Okay.
But no. Work laws in France are very different.
No, that's what I figured. And then finally, the cruise line, because I know, Jason, you and also Tom are going on the Disney Wish.
Yep.
The stuff that you've seen so far on the Disney Wish, let's take the $5,000 drink off the table first. The other stuff that you've seen for the Disney Wish, the Hyperspace Lounge and the Marvel, is there stuff there that you're really excited to see, or are you just waiting for them to wow you when you get there?
Mostly I'm waiting for them to wow me. Having gone on a number of cruises before any of this Star Wars and Marvel stuff invaded the ships, I'm not a big fan of the Star Wars and Marvel stuff on the ships.
Good night, everybody.
I feel like it's just
There's already a place for that, right?
Yeah.
that's
I get that.
sort of the argument, is
get
that I feel like it was just shoved in there to get people to pay more to go on this cruise.
Thanks,
That's
Jake.
the wrong end
Thanks,
card
Jake.
anyway.
Don't go anywhere.
You only made a
Don't
new
go
one with a new
anywhere.
theme
No,
song. I had someone
I'm sorry.
compose,
So, I was kidding. You know that, right? Okay, so finish that.
I mean, I'll go see it because it's there, but it's not what I look forward to going on the cruise for.
Yeah.
Oh
okay.
man, that
And
would be my number one.
I was about to ask you because I know that you kind of go out of your way to go on that stuff on the cruises, right?
I would absolutely go out of my way for that Hyperspace Lounge.
All right. So
100%.
then let's talk about that $5,000 drink.
You're gonna buy one for me?
You don't get the Camtana.
That is
The weirdest.
shocking.
That is the
You
weirdest
can
thing.
buy it at Disneyland.
But it's the weirdest thing that of all the things they're giving you, they're not giving you that.
For $5,000, I should get
You
to
get to
keep
go to
that
Skywalker
Camtana.
Ranch.
But I got to pay my own way to get to Skywalker Ranch.
Like it's an invitation to get in, but it's not travel, correct? I mean, that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's my understanding.
You also get escorted out of the bar by stormtroopers. Which I think I might anyway, even without buying the drink.
Okay. So why make it $5,000 for that drink and then just tack on all this stuff? Why not make it a little bit cheaper and like still something amazing? Like a $1,000 drink would still be something that would get headlines, and you wouldn't have to give them the ticket to Skywalker Ranch and the bottle of wine and the stormtrooper escort and all that kind of stuff.
This isn't an uncommon thing, right? People that go on luxury cruises have money to burn. And there are bars on Disney property that have exquisite alcohol that is several $100s a glass or several $1,000s a bottle. That's not uncommon. California Grill has them. It's not uncommon, especially on a cruise ship. There's, you'll sell a couple a year. There'll be someone with just a bunch of money that's like, we're here, we're on vacation, enjoying ourselves, and they're like, I will buy whatever. What is the most expensive wine you have? What is the most expensive cocktail you have, right? Something with Louis
Right.
or whatever, right? So it's just part of luxury travel. It's a thing. You don't have to buy it, right? But the reason it exists is because there are people that will. And if you have that money and you want to burn it, that's your life. You only live once. You can't take it with you.
God help them if
You
that's
definitely can't take that Camtana with you.
Yeah, you can't.
No,
right,
you should
exactly.
Keep that in mind. You seem really stuck on it.
But I was gonna say, God help them if this is the night and they don't know about the $5,000 drink and they go, give me a round of your most expensive. That would be a problem, I would think.
Well, that's your mistake. Then.
Yeah,
You should
exactly.
know before you make that claim.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come back, Jake. We're going to come back, and and then when we do, we're going to have a quick conversation about Disney adults. So don't go away.
WDW News Tonight is our weekly comedy show combining the news of the week, comedy segments, thoughtful discussions, insane characters, parody commercials, games, and more. Watch live on Thursdays at 9 p.m. and become a Wigs member to get access to a bonus post show. Watch WDW News Tonight episodes anytime and live on YouTube, or get the audio-only version on iTunes and other podcast services.
Welcome to News Today with Universal Parks News Today. I'm Tom Corliss. Here now in the news.
Welcome to Disney Entertainment News Today from WDW News Today. I'm Rob Whiteside from WDWNT.com, and here now are the top Disney entertainment stories.
For the latest in Disney entertainment news, watch Disney Entertainment News Today, hosted by Rob Whiteside. From movies and series news to stage shows, books, video games, and more. New episodes drop every Tuesday on Unplanned Downtime.
What the hell is unplanned downtime?
Well, I was going to say, welcome back to WDWNT TV and ParksCenter. This is the new home for all of your favorite shows, and so that last commercial said unplanned downtime, but now that channel is WDWNT TV. We have a lot of informative shows on this channel now. We have ParksCenter, and we have Disney Entertainment News Today. We have a lot of fun shows, like we have Boxed In, and we have Deep in the Plus, and News Tonight is also a show that is on this channel. So there's that.
You have like the News Tonight core audience sitting here. Right?
Yeah, no, I'm leaning in. I'm leaning in hard.
I call this channel the main
folks,
channel now.
Who do we like more, Rob Whiteside or the smoking fridge?
Woo! What are you doing? He's getting the smoking fridge.
Oh.
How
the
dare
fridge
you,
is
sir.
so sad now.
Oh, what are you proving?
Yikes.
That's the wrong way.
I guess the greater question is, which one do you like more?
The fridge never disappoints me.
Oh! Wow. Wow. That's uncalled for. Anyway, Jake, let's just do a one shot here. Let's just ignore him for a second. But please make sure to subscribe to this channel and like this show. This show.
Wow. Well played, Jake. Well played. Jake
That was
knows,
the greatest moment of Jake's one-year WDWNT career.
Jake knows who signs his checks.
Wow.
No one, they're digital.
It's me, but yeah.
So we've lost complete control here, but let's get back on task. One of the things that we do is have a discussion, a quick discussion as part of ParksCenter. If you haven't tuned in before, and if you have tuned in, thank you for being here, and also thanks for giving us the likes and for coming and spending your Sunday nights with us. We appreciate it. Starting next Sunday night, we're going to be on at 9, the same time as all of the other shows on WDWNT TV. So wait, no?
Someone just say no to the 9
Yeah,
p.m.?
because it's past my bedtime.
So apparently Jason will no longer be making appearances, but that may not have been a thing he was going to do anymore. So, but I do want to.
Who's complaining in the crowd? You can't stay up another hour?
You can't stay up past 9:30.
Oh.
See? And she's
got
and
6
she's waiting
minutes.
for this party.
So anyway, please join us next. Please join
Why
us.
do we never do this show with
9
a live
p.m.
audience?
Yeah. Why? I don't know. It's crazy, right?
Give me this.
But if you can't join us live, then you can watch it the next day. Unreal. Unreal. I thought you guys wanted to get to the after party. I don't really know how this is helping you get there, but so. One of the things that came up as a topic on the website, and if you haven't read before, WDWNT.com, I assume that you have, but was about Disney adults. And that's a thing that has seemingly popped up more and more these days, the idea or the concept of a Disney adult. And I think we have a whole room full of Disney adults with us right here.
There's a handful of.
There's a few. There's a few sprinkled in here. And I feel like that for some, it's sort of become a negative connotation, which I don't understand at all. Because if I was following a band across the country and I was a fanatic of that band, you would just say I was a big fan of that band and it wouldn't be anything different. If you're a huge sports fan and you wanted to see your team in every stadium in the country, that wouldn't be a problem either. This is kind of our
But Rob,
thing.
if you were like a big fan of the Teletubbies and followed them across the country, and we called you a big fan, that would kind of be derogatory.
Whoa! Somebody making a Nick joke? Oh,
Somebody
that's
is.
uncalled for. But what I would say is, and I guess I want to open this up to you guys, is have you found, I guess part of it is, you're right, it is sort of more of something that a lot of people see as a children's thing, right? So Disney is, princesses and, maybe something more about your youth. But I think a lot of us have an escapism thing. I've seen a lot of people say instead of therapy, I go to Disney because it does
A
something
lot of us
for
have
us.
deeply rooted mental issues and trauma.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to go to therapy because I go to Disney.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was because of me.
It is that too, yes.
So, Desi, you've heard this? Somebody said anything to you about it in the past, or like?
At my last job, I was pretty open about being a Disney fan. They all knew me as like the Disney person. But I just started a new job about 3 weeks ago, and it's like, a bigger job. It's with a bigger company. It's, and I have decided not to tell anybody at that job that I'm into Disney at all. Because I feel like I was looked down upon at my last job, thought of as childish maybe, and not seen like in a professional way as somebody who could be a leader, because they thought of me as, oh, she's just this little kid who's into Disney. So I think that there is that stigma there for Disney adults. I did run into one of my former coworkers today in the park. So it was kind of funny because I was like, oh, he is 100% fully aware. We were both the crazy Disney adults. But I just feel like now with like my big girl job, I can't be open about being a Disney fan.
Jason, since you have a big boy job, has that ever been a thing for you?
For a long time, I didn't really talk about Disney at my job, but one of my coworkers is a big Disney fan, and I knew she was, and we talked about it. But her daughter is now down here on the college program this year, and so she's talked about it quite a bit at work, and so we have a small enough group that I don't think we're looked down upon. I don't know that I would want a job where people look down upon me because I go to Disney World. I mean,
That's why I left it.
I told people that I moved to Florida, and everyone seems happy for me, so that's a good thing. I think the problem with the Disney adult stigma is there's a lot of people that misbehave. And I think, honestly, there's a lot of kids that misbehave at Disney, but they're not the ones that draw the attention, because they're all over the place. Misbehaving kids are a dime a dozen. Misbehaving adults are the ones that make the news on WDWNT.com. And
See, I
so,
think it's a lot more basic than that. I think it's social media posts, right? I think normal people come across Instagram accounts and TikTok accounts where that's who they are, right? And they're like, these people just go to theme parks all the time. What's wrong with these people? Right?
I mean, they say that about you.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I don't tell people. Like when I went to the few times I leave the theme park bubble, like when I have to go to the eye doctor, they're like, "What do you do for a living?" I was like, "I write about theme parks," and that's where I leave it. And I don't really go down the Disney route.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got a point.
Yeah.
I think the Disney adult thing has gotten more prominence recently because of people that misbehave.
See, I don't think it's that way. I think
No?
it's the Disney bounding and that kind of
It's the
stuff.
social media presence.
The social media
this
about
pay
it. But, like,
attention to me. I do this as this is my life, right? These are not people where it's a job. I think people look at us and it's more of a, like, people are impressed by, I tell people I have a studio and an office in Celebration, and people are like, oh, that's very real. I think the thing, it's not bloggers that are the reason there's this reputation. I think people see, like, 20-something-year-old girls have an Instagram account where all they do is every day go to Disneyland and they're taking a picture with a Mickey ice cream bar and a new outfit.
But if you're 20 years old and you got the money to go to Disneyland and get a Mickey bar every day, more power to you.
Yeah.
I think that's the judgment, though, is a lot of those people, like, kind of don't.
Well, then
They're like I think it's viewed as like an irresponsible, immature.
that may
group
be
of
the
people,
case.
right?
But then those people disappear, right? Like they're not celebrities for very long.
It's not even celebrity. I'm just saying people, like, there are plenty of people who do that who never reach a follower count of any real substance, right? But they still just keep doing it. It's still who they are and what they do. And it's no judgment about who they are and what they do, but I think the rest of the world looks at that and is like, what are you doing?
Do they
Go
not
get a job?
But I mean, I used to do that about people that would go to My Little Pony conventions. I think it's not very different.
I know we do live in a world where fandom has become more accepted, right? Like Star Wars and Marvel, I think, have really made it okay to be a fanboy and a fangirl well into your 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, right? And I think it's true. People say people should just let people enjoy what they enjoy without judgment. As long as it doesn't harm another person, leave people alone. But there are lots of people in the world who feel like the thing they're a fan about is more normal, right? Whether it's a sports team or a major television show or whatever, they see that as more normal. It's more accepted. When meanwhile, those people are I will tell you, I've known a lot of crazy sports people.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is
worse.
when he says,
they're way worse.
When you say they behave badly, that's what I would think of first would be sports fans. Because,
Get fist fights, throw things at the wall, alcohol problems. Like I've seen a lot more issue in sports fandom than I have in.
Yeah.
And then they make fun of like the travel habits of Disney people, but there are people that go, on the road with their football team, essentially. They go to every away game, right? It's over several weeks. Like, what job do you have where every weekend you're going to wherever your team's game is, you're going there, right? It's really not very different. I have a team. It's Disney, and I go to see all the games. And there's a game in Paris this week, and I got to be there.
Tyler Rod, thank you for the $5 super chat. Everyone has hobbies they enjoy. Ours is just really expensive.
It is,
yeah. And that's
all
the thing,
those are
too.
expensive. Going to football games is not cheap
Football
either.
games are expensive. I mean, My Little Pony's pretty cheap, but
You can't.
You're being as judgmental as the people we're talking about. They're being no better.
I'm not. I mean, I know people that go to My Little Pony conventions. I don't care.
You do?
You seem really stuck on it, though.
It's just, I think it's a good example.
Leave them alone.
I think it's a good, how about action figure, Comic-Con, there we go.
Yeah.
Let's make it a little more broad.
That's well more
Comic-Con.
accepted now.
Right.
Than our thing. Right?
Absolutely it is. But it's still like comic books are a kid's thing, aren't they?
Yeah, still. But I think the world is changing, right? That's becoming okay.
Well, but in the same way, isn't Disney changing because of the other...
Because of Marvel and Star Wars?
Because of Marvel and Star Wars and the other
I had a
fandoms
moment,
that they bought.
Last Disney cruise I did, we went to some game, and they were like interviewing all the families before the game, and they're like, what's your favorite like Disney thing? And like several tables, like people just said Marvel stuff. And as I threw up into my glass, I had this moment where I was like, God, this has really changed. This is This is not our thing anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the fight we're having in the park, right? Like Epcot isn't our thing anymore. It's made for the greater audience, which is not us. It's made for people that just really like comic book movies and Star Wars and don't care about the artistry or, you know, all the things we care about.
It is interesting because at my new job where I don't tell anybody about being a Disney fan, there is a Star Wars Slack channel that they, you know, sent an email company-wide to say, hey, by the way, we have this Star Wars channel if anybody wants to join. And I feel like I could be more open about being a Star Wars fan than I can about being a Disney fan.
It's more accepted, right?
So the Trauma Factor $2 super chat, thank you. Someone told me I was cringe for liking Disney at 38. So I then really have a problem. If at 38 you have that problem. I mean, you know, I am the guy who still goes around and buys Happy Meal toys because I want the Disney Happy Meal toy. And some people think, oh, that's weird. But other people are like...
See, you gotta be my father.
Yeah.
My father is the only guy that can go into McDonald's and buy Happy Meal toys, and all the people that work there think it's adorable.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about him. I don't get it. They all love him.
I think it's just your dad is adorable.
They love him. They'll go dig through the box for him. They adore
Your
him.
dad's the best.
No, but I mean, I always feel like it's a point of like, to your point about hiding it, like a point to brag about. Like, you know, how many times did you get to go to Disney World this year? How many times did you go to Disneyland? Or did I get to go to that really cool event? You know, that kind of stuff. And I think some people like to hear about it. And I think some people then will come to you as the Disney person and go, hey, I heard that you had an amazing time. Tell me how to do that because I don't understand the park reservation system and now there's a park hopper reservation system. Can you tell me all about that? I mean, like there really will, like I think we've all probably had those people who come and tell us like, hey, I heard you know something about Disney. I'm getting ready to plan my trip. Tell me what to do. Then, you know, then it's kind of a cool thing. So I think it just depends on how much you lean into it. But I do think the word cringe has come up before. I mean, I saw it as a Family Guy bit. They were talking about a woman being an adult Disney person. So what were you going to say?
I will say, so I went to Paris for work a number of years ago. And I had an extra day in Paris. And so people at work asked me what I was going to do with my extra day in Paris. And I hesitantly told them I was going to Disneyland. And they kind of looked at me funny. I mean, part of that is because most Parisians don't like Disneyland.
Right.
So I think there's that, but you know, it's
all the ones that do work there.
Well, yeah.
That's
so,
like all of them, yeah.
So you know, but Parisians maybe have a certain pride in their city, and the fact that I was not going to go to the Louvre and instead going to go to Disneyland probably made them sort of turn up their nose a bit. But you know, it is what it is. If you're not an art fan, why do you want to go to the Louvre?
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I have been to Paris before, and I hadn't gone to Disneyland. So I've already seen the Louvre and the Eiffel Tower and all that. So now when I go, like my big thing is I want to make sure I go to Disneyland at least.
I have been to Disneyland Paris 6 times, and I have not been to the city of Paris.
No,
I am proud to say that.
I think I would feel it
I
like...
don't care.
I would feel obligated to go, if I went to Tokyo, to see something else.
See, but that interested me, right? Like, I'm a white guy.
What?
I descend from Europe. That's not weird. Those people aren't weird and different to me. Those are people like
I mean, they are
the
weird.
French are kind of like they're European New Yorkers.
Yeah, but
like,
they're
they're not actually rude. They're just efficient and they don't smile.
I'm white
they're
and
European
Asian,
New
so I just blend in everywhere.
Well, but again, I feel like
They always
obligated
start
to
talking to
do
me in
something
French.
else.
They assume I'm European. They don't assume. And my significant other, they'll start talking to her in English right away. But with me, they'll start in French. I'm like, no, don't know what you're saying. Sorry. I apologize. Like, sorry, I don't.
All right, so we have to wrap this up so that everybody can start to party and Jason can go to bed. So I do want to do one lap around and just get final thoughts, and I'll start with you, Desi.
This has been an amazing weekend, and I'm so glad that we did this. And congratulations for 15 years.
Jason?
It's always fun. It's always an honor to be on ParksCenter, even though I
Different from what you said earlier, though. So.
Well,
he gets nicer right before he like passes out.
I'm really tired.
Understood.
But no, it's been great, and glad to be here.
Awesome.
It's been a fun weekend.
Yeah. Tom?
Excited to be here more often,
Yeah.
even though you won't be.
No. Well, you said I could crash at your place.
You can.
Okay, now that's on
Not
tape.
every weekend.
Oh.
Don't say this out loud. Spencer could be watching.
Oh, Spencer asked me to crash at my place before I owned it. So.
Yeah.
The only bad kind of Disney adult is Spencer. Oh. That's the only one I'm judgmental.
Is Spencer even considered an adult?
No. In no way, shape, or form.
I hope he's not watching.
He's what people think Disney adults are.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Tom?
Kind of half joking. I thought we were giving final thoughts on this, or we're just giving
Just giving final
sentimental
thoughts.
final thoughts.
Just final thoughts for it could be anything you want.
It has been a great. I think, kind of tying into this conversation, I think the fact that this thing has existed for 15 years and has an audience full of Disney adults who support fellow Disney adults who bring them news and fun every week, I think it proves that this is an okay thing. It's more than an okay thing. I think it's important. I don't know where I would be without this. I know people in the audience have made it clear that we're an important part of their week as they are ours. So I think it's a beautiful thing. I think whatever you love and there are other people passionate about it, you could share that with them and have fun in this short time you have on this planet. That's a really nice thing. And so people should shut up.
Okay, well, thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. If you are a Wigs member, we love our Wigs. There might be some of them here right now. You can join our Wigs program at patreon.com/WDWNT. Also, if you would like to support WDWNT, you go to carouselproducts.com. I hear they have some really great stuff that you can buy and purchase that we have curated things that we like. And we hope that you like them too, including a brand new shirt that Tom is wearing that is the WDWNT button-down shirt. So hopefully you'll go check that out, carouselproducts.com. And then, again, join our lineup this week. We've got Disney Entertainment News Today coming on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we have Deep in the Plus with our friend Patrick, who is in chat tonight. Thank you, Patrick, for being there. He has insisted we're going to do Teen Beach Movie. Tune in to find out why.
Take us to top of the world.
Yeah, and he's going to take everyone to top of the world, so that's going to be great. And then, and I think you guys are taking a break for a little while for News Tonight.
We'll be back on July 28th.
July 28th. So thank you guys so much for being there. Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate it. And we'll see you in the post show, or we will see you next week. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.